Hello and welcome to Around the Ice on Fantasy in Frames, a hockey podcast. Week 6 of the season here. We're going to be talking about a lot of fantasy stuff. Third of the way through fantasy season, quarter of the way through the NHL season, excuse me. Stick with us. We're going to be talking a lot of fantasy talk, a little gambling tonight, and we'll take you around the ice, see what's going on in the league tonight. Stick with us. Welcome in my partners here, Toast and Aaron Tometich. I'm JT. Thanks for joining us here. Hey, fellas, how you doing tonight? We're the late night show tonight for anybody that's not used to us being on the late night show. Usually it's me and Benny D on the gambling college football show. We did that one earlier, so if you get a chance, go back and watch that one. That one's uploaded on the YouTube channel right now. Will be on the podcast form in the morning. But thanks for joining us here on Around the Ice. How you guys doing?
Hey, thanks for switching around, guys. Had some family commitments tonight where we actually had to push the show back, but that's all right. It's all right. We'll actually get everybody was actually on the college football gambling show and just happen to stay on the channel. And speaking of channel, JT, looks like we actually maybe have a new channel. Want to go and talk about that a little bit?
Did you see that? Yes, you can see that as you follow us on X, we have Around the Ice channel on there. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter there or on X there for Around the Ice channel. Kind of adding things too, fixing things up as we go along here. You can also follow Toast at Toast Clark, Aaron at Titch4141, me at JT Orange. And then you can also follow at Fantasy in Frames and at JT Brew Stew. Which the college betting shows are on there, but also you can get the hockey shows on there as well. So a bunch of different places you can look us up and find us. And as we keep moving on here, we're mostly on YouTube, but we're also in podcast form. We've got if you're a if you're an Apple podcast person or Google, all those are going to start coming out. So we're working on expanding those things and a few other things as Fantasy in Frames is hitting more and more areas. I know they're working on getting on Twitch, working on getting on Instagram. We've been on Facebook. So feel free to hit us up. Is there anything else you watch or want to watch us on? We will try to get and make sure we're on those platforms as well.
See, JT, things are happening so fast, man. They're happening so fast. You're not even actually catching them. You know why? Because we got a new channel. We got a new channel. We got a new Twitter or X handle at FIF Hockey. I don't know if you actually saw that or not. So again, specifically for our podcast here, we're going to actually have our own X page, and we're going to be pretty proactive with actually linking up those YouTube links there for our shows and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep, check us out on those things. Again, follow us, like, subscribe for all your hockey action. If you're into fantasy football, betting, any of that stuff, jump on Fantasy in Frames. Again, all kinds of shows throughout the week. Great stuff. If you're watching the show, feel free on YouTube or on Twitter or X, jump in, leave us a comment, a question, start sits, pickups, waivers, anything like that is throughout the show. Pretty free flowing show, especially tonight. We don't have a lot of specific things we're hitting and touching on. We're just kind of talking about where we're at this far in the fantasy season. Before we get into fantasy talk, though, fellas, let's jump into what's kind of going on around the ice tonight. Let's start it off with the Devils games. Devils getting a 4-1 win at the Panthers. Panthers have been absolutely lighting it up. The Devils are starting to get it together. Panthers dropped to 11-4-1. Devils improved to 11-6-2. Probably, the game of the night, the one most people were looking for was that one. A really nice one in there, and got some of the big dogs scoring some points. Jack Hughes able to get a goal. Timo Meyer got a goal. My guy, Paul Cotter, yes, with Hischer with an assist. So we got all kinds of action in this one. A really nice outing there from the Devils. And then Sam Reinhart, who we'll talk about in the fantasy segment, he put in another power play as he continues. He is absolute hot streak to start off the season.
Hey, Aaron, I'm sorry. I know you probably, you're like, hey, I'd like to chime in here. And don't worry, I'll give you a chance here to chime in. But the Devils, Devils off to a good start. Maybe a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. But here's what I will say about the Devils is, man, they finally have some stability at the goalie position. And Markstrom's actually 8-4-1, a 9.08. That's not setting the world on fire, but for the standard or the lack thereof that actually have been set by the Devils organization with their goalies of late, that's really good. It's exactly what they need. The Devils can score. We actually all know they're scoring now. Jack Hughes is actually starting to pick it up. My guy on my fantasy team on a Dynasty, he's on a little bit of a tear right now. He sure is actually cooled down a little bit. We knew he wouldn't sustain that much. But, man, Jack Hughes is starting to feel it. And, again, they got stability at the goaltending position. Is Jake Allen their backup as well? I'm pretty sure Jake Allen's the backup over there. I'll have to actually check on that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. Yeah. And even I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, so Jake Allen, a 914 save percentage. They've got good goaltending. If they can sustain that throughout the season, man, the Devils are to be reckoned with because they can put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, and tonight's game caught 2/3 of it. So 2 of the periods I caught, missed the third. But the first goal, if anybody watches it or if anybody saw it, it was a sick setup by Jesper Bratt. Like Hughes got the goal, but again, I used the same analogy. A toaster oven could have got that goal. Bratt set him up really well. Gets another assist on the last goal of the night there on the empty netter from Palat. So I would say, yeah, the other thing I noticed with that game, it was a real grind and mount game. And that's kind of how Florida plays. Florida plays nasty. They play skilled. The Devils match them with skill and match them with nasty. Again, your guy Cotter putting that, getting that tuck tonight. They played well. He had a real physical goal. So did Timo Meyer, who's kind of again the Jekyll Hyde, but he's up to 7 goals now and he looked really good tonight. So good solid win. The Devils have been beating shitty teams and letting the good teams walk all over them. Not tonight. They showed up tonight.
Yeah, we had a couple other good games tonight. How about them Winnipeg Jets? 15-1 start. What? If we only looked in the crystal ball and would have guessed at this start for them, we could have made some crazy cash. 15-1 Winnipeg Jets, 6-3 win at the Rangers tonight, knocking the Rangers down to 9-4-1. And my guy, Connor Hellebuck, just another outstanding performance.
It's unbelievable.
Gave up the 3 goals, but got enough scoring. He's still the guy is just playing great. 33 saves tonight again. Kyle Connor, we're going to talk about him a little bit when we get to our fantasy score. But Kyle Connor, guy's been on my team for years and years. 2 goals, another assist tonight. He's been on fire. And I tell you what, this Jets team, Hellebuck's been great, but they're scoring a lot more than I think any of us thought they were going to do this year.
Yeah. Aaron, all I'll say, and I'll let you talk on that. Sorry, I keep over talking on you. But I was a little jealous when they go to 15-1. I actually learned they went to 14-1 after the last game there, and I was a little jealous because I'm like, oh, that's the best start in NHL history. I have to do 15 games. I'm like, hey, wait a second. What about the Hawks, man? The Blackhawks in 2013. But I didn't realize there's some ties in there, right? Because I think the Hawks are like 21-0-3. First 24 games. Now, that's an NHL record. That was in that shortened season, right? We actually only played I think we only played 50 games. I mean, it was I think the Hawks ended up like 37-6-7 or something like that. But we started off 21-0-3 in that 2013 season when we actually won the cup. But that was a shortened season because of a lockout, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm not just going to show you actually what the Jets are doing. I'll let you go ahead, Aaron. What do you have to say about him?
Oh, same thing. I mean, I feel like an idiot for calling him out of the playoffs this year, but who saw this coming? But I was just going to say, I'd say the dynamic duel. As I'm saying this real time, McDavid just he's got a couple of apples tonight. I think he just tucked one in. But I was just going to call Scheifele and Connor the new Leo and McDavid. They're taking the throne. These two guys are playing well together. They're they're matched up on the power play. They just are again, Winnipeg's kind of that defense first, and I'm just I'm happy. I'm happy to be wrong about that. It's not like it's the godforsaken Blues that are doing this. Then I'd have to kind of I'd probably just take myself on mute on these segments. But Winnipeg Jets, they haven't won anything. They lost the team. They got the team. Good for the city of Winnipeg. There's nothing to do in that town. It's cold. It's freezing. I hope they win. I hope they win 60 more games. Well, they can't. But anyway. I love it. It's fun to watch, and Connor, Scheifele, Hellebuck, just three huge pieces. I love watching all of them.
Hey, JT, a differential of plus 39 so far.
Oh,
holy crap!
It's wild because you're like you think we talked about it in the preseason show. We all said that we didn't think the Jets would make the playoffs, and we're like, it's Hellebuck's going to be great again, but are they going to get enough points to outscore anyone and make the playoffs? Well, dude, they're outscoring everyone. Hellebuck has been unreal. He's 11-1 with a 183 goals against, a 935 save percentage. He's already got 3 freaking shutouts in 12 games. Quarter of his games, he's got shutouts already. It's been wild. The hope is he can keep that up going, but just a great freaking start for the Jets. Pretty wild. And then another high-powered game in the early going. Senators improved to 8-7 on the year. They win 3-0 over the Maple Leafs, who dropped to 9-6-2, shutting out the Maple Leafs. Linus Ullmark, his first shutout of the season. Norris with a goal, Stützle with a goal, Batherson assist. Sharma says just a nice game. Ottawa got up early, and they just really shut down the Maple Leafs, who have been scoring all over the place, especially when they've been at home this year.
Yeah. They missing Matthews. I think this was the 4th game in a row he's out, but they've been playing well without him. Berube has them skating hard. They have been playing well, to your point, JT. So it's not like the Maple Leafs are not showing up. They're playing well. But that was the other game that I watched. Now I watched all 3 periods of that on the second TV. That could have been a 6-0 game. Senators looked really good tonight. They played well. The Battle of Ontario, they definitely showed up and showed out. They were very they played disciplined. I probably saw, if you watch the replay, Ekman Larson, I can't remember who it was. It was Parlay Pinto. Ran into the goalie, and Ekman Larson goes at him and just shoving his head in the ice. Nobody retaliated. They're like, hey, we're up 3-0. Would have been a perfect time to really lose their cool, but
Chucky would have got in there and beat some ass.
Yeah, they didn't. They restrained it. Like, hey, a win's a win, and to beat the Maple Leafs, that was a good win. And I think I talked about how we're all idiots for having Winnipeg out, but I think this at least evens it out that we were on the Senators in the previews. Like, hey, this is a team to watch, and they showed it again tonight. It's a fun time, and they get 41 shots on goal, so they're getting the offense figured out, and Ullmark settling them down. He's keeping them out of the net.
I love it.
Yeah, the other early game was the Bruins versus the Blues. Blues got up 2-0 in that game. Bruins put on 3 third-period goals, able to get the win. Got one late from Pastrnak, able to get the win 3-2 as the Bruins improved to 8-7-2. Blues dropping to 7-9. Anything you guys got to say about that game? I know we're not a big Blues group here, but a nice win there for the Bruins, and Pastrnak able to get a goal and assist tonight.
Yeah, the Bruins are starting to find their footing. And when I say that, Brad Marchand's actually starting to find his footing. It took him a minute to get going there. I'd say it probably took him a good 12, 13 games to actually wake up and realize that, hey, you're Brad Marchand. I understand you're 36 years old and you're aging and whatnot, and the statistics are actually falling off, for the geek stats we actually tell him. But nevertheless, he's really been hot the last week and a half. He's really put together the last 5 or 6 games, been really good. Pasta for him. He is, this is only his 7th goal of the season so far in 17 games. That's not bad. But for him, that's not great. And for them to be 8-7-2 and above 500 103rd in that Atlantic division right now, considering offensively they have not got anything really, really going at all. It's a really, really good time for Boston.
Yeah, and I say Swayman looks like Swayman now. Again, we all know the contract. He was out. He missed some time, but he's looking bad. I don't think the Blues shot a whole lot. 22 shots, 2 snuck in, but the past games he started to look like Swayman again. So again, starts with the defense, starts with keeping the puck out of your own net, and then getting the pucks to go in. So good to see Pasta on the score sheet though with a goal and an assist tonight.
We got a comment here from a guy I think we know, Gail Clark. He says, "Screw the Devils. Then getting shut out at home versus the Sharks killed my parlay."
He was pissed. He was pissed.
Gail, I absolutely understand how you feel like that. That feels like that's me all the time. That was me with the Avs getting shut out at home by the Blackhawks or whatever. That killing my parlay. And then they're unworldly. Unless I them versus a 4-9-1 team.
Yeah,
So
Gail's frustrated. He's frustrated just like everybody else because, again, we'll say from a gambling perspective, we said this every single week on this podcast. It defies logic what's going on right now around the league, and especially if you're
such a weird start.
If you're going to be betting money lines and puck lines and actually over unders and stuff, like you're absolutely screwed. It hasn't really. You'd be better to go ahead and just bet points. And even then, we're going to go through that. And JT, that may be a nice segue in our next segment because there's a lot of unexpected people at the top of the league in points right now. And it's been an odd start. So I can't really wait to dive into that and really, dive deep. And we'll do a lot of praising and a lot of griping and bitching as well. But all in all, it's been an entertaining start to the season. Let's say that.
Absolutely. The other 3 games we got going right now, Edmonton up 3-2 on the Islanders in the third. Finally getting some names we know, getting some points on the board. Draisaitl with a power play goal with McDavid and Bouchard getting the assist. Bouchard with a goal. Ekholm and McDavid getting assists. And then McDavid getting a goal with Nugent Hopkins. I thought he was dead. Actually getting a point. He only has I think he's averaging 1.9 points a game on my fantasy team right now. Unbelievable. He actually got assist. Anders Lee with a goal for the Islanders, and Palmieri with a goal for the Islanders. 3-2. Currently Edmonton leading that one with about 5 minutes left to go. Vancouver up 2-1 with about 10 minutes left in the second. In that one, Kirkland has a goal for Calgary. Elias Pettersson heard that we were talking mad smack about him last week. He finally gets a power play goal assisted by JT Miller and Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes somehow not getting a third shot the other night was the only loss in our parlay. Unbelievable. It was the one leg we felt the most confident in. And then Pius Suter, he got a goal. JT Miller and Bahnstrom with the assist. 2-1. Vancouver currently leading Calgary. About 10 minutes left in the second in that one. And then the other game going right now, Seattle up 3-2 on Columbus. About 8 minutes left. They just 3 goals in a row here for the Kraken in the second period to take the 3-2 lead. Nice little set of run there by them. An unassisted goal, a power play goal, and a name I haven't seen lately. But there's been on a lot of teams. Andre Burakovsky with assist. Yanni Gord, another guy that me and Toast, we've had them on the old Dynasty Salary Cap League team, both of those guys. And, of course, the guy who scored the goal, I can't say his name now. Ty Cartier? Is that who that is?
Yep.
Ty Cartier got the goal.
JT, you're getting better, buddy.
And Yanni Gord with the assist there. Brandon Tanev with an unassisted goal. And then Talvinen with a goal from Eberle and McCann getting the assist on that one. 3-2. Kraken currently lead. We'll keep you up to date on what's kind of going on those.
And
we
JT,
feel like we got that.
Yeah, on that one, before we got on the pod here, Aaron's like, man, I need a Kraken tonight. I put some money on the Kraken, and I'm like, ooh, it's not looking good because that first period, it was ugly. The Jackets actually were out shooting 15-3 to actually start that game. And there was halfway point in the first period there, halfway mark there, it was 0-0. And the shots were 10-1 to the Blue Jackets on the road. And I told Aaron, I'm like, that would have been a good time to actually go on a live bet the Blue Jackets. And what you know, Blue Jackets immediately after that put up 2 and 2-0. I thought, we're off to the races. And here we are, 3-2. And I think since then, the Jackets haven't shot at all, and the Kraken have all the shots on goal. So, and again, the Blue Jackets, they've overachieved this year. They've actually surprised everybody. They got a lot of
Oh, I think we lost Toast there for a second. We'll see if you got froze there. We can bounce back. Aaron, let's jump in and let's talk a little bit about fantasy hockey. Let's jump into some of the numbers, see what some of the guys have done this year. Currently pulling up our Bangers League. Obviously, when we talk about these guys, it's not going to be the same scoring that you're seeing in all your leagues, depending on exactly kind of how your scoring system works. Like our home Bangers League, we give a pretty decent amount of points for blocks, penalty minutes, hits, all those things. We also crank up shot attempts and goals and assists in that one because, you know, we're in one of those leagues we want to see scoring. You know, I used to be in a hockey league, and it was like if your guy scored like 3 points, it was like he had the biggest game of the night because everything was so low scoring. And I was like, man, if I'm scoring 60 points in a week, I'm winning. It was just brutal. And then we had major negative points for goalie scoring. If your goalie scored you -6, it's like he wiped out an entire day. So we've adjusted that off on ours a little bit. If you got any questions on the scoring, we can kind of go through there. But me and we'll go through until we can get Toast back on the list. So right now, if you just look at overall scoring in our league, a guy that we always talk about because he's just a banger league dream, and that's Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk, number 1 in our league in scoring right now, 112 points on the year, averaging an absolute phenomenal 7.48 points per game right now. He has just been great.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at the average draft position. Now, again, this is a collective, you know, when's this guy going? It's not just the Banger League or our league format, but he's going about 15th round. But I would say this year with his average, what he's got, he's making an argument for him to be a 1-1 in our Banger League or our format league. And I like that format too. You know, you were talking about not everybody's got the same scoring. You're right, but I think for the guys that are kind of in our you know, you grew up with the Red Wings. We grew up with the, you know, we're back in those days of the, you know, there's a fight, you know, Probert out there, Stu Grimson, you know, whoever. So I like that too because it adds some character. Some of the stuff that the NHL. I mean, I love today's game. It's just skill. It's so fun to watch, but at the same time, it kind of you know takes you back to the childhood where you might lose the game, but boy, did you know Probert really just knock somebody's socks off in a fight, and you know you kind of walked out of the arena with a win when he.
Yeah, you felt good. You felt excited. I mean, that's what Tkachuk brings to you. You know, 63 hits this year, 7 blocks, 62 shots on goal, 27 penalty minutes, 8 goals, 10 assists in 15 games. Like you said, about 15th ADP. But he's a guy, you know, he's only 25. So it's like he's a guy that you're like, man, in a Bangers League, in our type of league, you could really justify him being a top 5 pick. I mean, pretty easily. He went in the first round in our league. He didn't get to 15. He went a lot higher than that in our league, but he easily could have been a top 5 pick. I mean, you got to love that when you see a guy get 63 hits and 62 shots, 8 goals, 10 assists. You know, he's right there. He's, you know, can do a little bit of everything. I know, you know, Toast is a big fan. I know all of us were talking about trying to get him in the our Dynasty League draft. None of us got him, but you know, Toast, give us your feelings on Brady Tkachuk, number 1 scorer currently in our home Dynasty League, 7.48 points a game, 112 points overall.
Well, before I get into Brady, hey, when I got kicked out there and kicked out, and I was in mid-sentence there, and it took me a good 5 minutes to kind of get back in because I lost my internet. It reminded me of a movie called Fear. You guys remember the movie called Fear?
Oh, yeah. I love Fear.
And Marky Mark,
let me in the house, bunch, baby.
Yeah, let me in the house. Yeah, he's like, hey, let me in the house, Mr. Walker. You know, so that's why I felt like, let's let me back in. Hey,
Super underrated movie, by the way.
Oh.
I bring that movie up all the time,
It's
and people
crazy.
are always like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like,
Fears, yeah,
that dude, that's old school Reese Witherspoon, young Reese
Yeah.
Witherspoon,
Yeah.
yeah.
in that movie. And then, why am I blanking on her
CSI guy.
name?
What was his name? The main
Yeah, he was the dad. He was the dad, Mr.
father. Yeah,
Walker.
CSI
And
guy.
then,
Yeah.
from, why am I blanking on her name? The dark haired girl from, um, Alyssa Milano in there with
Yes.
two of my favorites when I was a teenager, Reese
Oh,
Witherspoon
yeah.
and Alyssa Milano. That movie came out, it was awesome. Like, that was like the best movie, but great flick. If you've never seen it, definitely go look it up. Fear, Fear,
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon, Alyssa Milano, and Mark Wahlberg, who I always love to call Marky Mark, and people wonder what I'm talking about. I'm like, didn't you ever listen to the Funky Bunch when you were a kid? So,
Yeah, I mean, well, and then William Peterson is Steve Walker, and that Mr.
yes.
Walker, and then Amy Brenneman. So she's been in a lot. I actually think she was in The Leftovers, if I remember right, on HBO. Which I was a huge fan of that. But anyway, we got sidetracked. Let's talk about how
she's
great.
currently on The Old Man on FX. If you've ever seen Old
Really?
Man, great show, on FX. Old Man.
Dude,
She's currently in that movie.
Hey, let's go ahead and talk about.
Get back on track, Toast. Get back on track. Get us back on track here.
Hold on one second here, guys.
Oh.
All right, sorry. Did you guys hear that in the background?
You're good. You're good to go now.
Jeez, hey, all kinds of. Anyway, Brady Kachuk, what can't he do? All I'm going to say is, again, we've been saying it for years right now. The guy fills up a stat sheet. Is there any surprises actually tops in the league? Because he'll play in every damn game. He'll get in fights. He'll actually get PIMs, which you actually love. He's going to hit the shit out. He's going to have over 300 hits again. Imagine getting 300 shots on goal and 300 hits and actually scoring 40 goals and actually still living to tell a story. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm so pissed off at Martini for taking my guy. John, that was my guy. You actually took him in our fantasy draft and a dynasty of everything. Here's the deal. I will give anything to get him back. Anything. Makes no difference. Anyone you want or combo, I will get him because that's my guy. It's not yours.
I know we were all wanting him on the way back. Yeah, he's been absolutely on fire. We're going to talk about a couple of the top end guys, and we're going to make our way through some of the guys that have been. Nathan McKinnon, we always expect him to be near the top. He's number 2 in our league in scoring right now, 108 points. Big thing for McKinnon. Adams got off to a slow start, but he leads the league in assists right now. 7 goals, 23 assists, 64 shots on goal. McKinnon, even though the slow start by the Avs, he's starting to pick it up and be that top 2, 3, 4 guy that you expect. The guy that I drafted, number 1 overall for me, number 2 in the draft, he's starting to turn it up.
Yeah. He's just that guy. He's the the Crosby replacement. There's a million different things. He's dedicated. There's all the stuff online. His interviews about he's a complete health nut. He makes everybody else a health nut in the locker room. He's your if it wasn't for Landy, you probably hands down be the captain of that team. Good leader on the ice, off the ice, just a dedicated guy. So yeah, it's good to see him do that. Despite the slower start, as you mentioned, JT, and then looking at his assists, he had a ton last year. I don't think he eclipsed 90, but he got real close. Pulling up his stat. Oh yeah, he got 89 assists. So, it kind of reminds me of kind of what again, arguably the 2 best players in the league, McDavid and McKinnon, and McDavid's kind of, when he wants to pass, he's going to have 1 billion assists. And when he wants to score, he's going to have 1 billion goals. So he's picking his poison. He can do whatever he wants to do. And again, of a few, you could not know a single thing about hockey, watch a Colorado game and then be like, man, he doesn't look like the rest of the players. He's just one of those standout guys. So yeah, well, really like watching.
And Aaron, I just got the old calculator out and actually did math. The whole cross division, everything else like you did back in the day. He's on pace for 153 points. And
Oh
so
my
he
God.
had 140 last year. And that was, if you didn't think he could do better than that with 405 shots on goal, he's doing better. And he's only shooting 10.9%. Now for his career, what you love the fact that he's a 10.6% shooter. All right. But it doesn't matter because he's going to make it up for you with power play points. He's got 13 power play points already in 16 freaking games.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And they lost their first 5 games of the season. They've been on a power play tear the last 2 weeks. I mean, just lighting it up, man. They're starting to feel it. Ranton is actually getting going as well. I mean, this guy's pacing for 150. He's playing like McDavid and even better. And I mean, he's not that far off from McDavid.
Yeah.
The two guys I wanted to bring up, and we brought it up just briefly when we were talking about the games tonight, was the Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor right now is number 6 in our league in scoring, 93 points overall, 5.83 points a game. Mark Scheifele, who's number 13th overall in our scoring in our league, 87 points total, 5.44 points per game. Those guys have been on fire. You got 11 goals and 11 assists for Connor. Scheifele, 9 goals, 12 assists, 38 shots for Scheifele, 62 for Connor. Those guys have been the difference maker for the Jets. We weren't sure if they were going to get a lot of points, but those guys have come out on fire, especially from where they went drafted this year. Scheifele went way down as he's been, a little rough the last couple of years. ADP 102 on Fantrax, and Connor right now, he went 48th ADP on Fantrax. He is the lowest drafted guy in the top 10 currently in our league in scoring.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to that. Well, like you said, JT, little 72 points, 68 the year before that. Scheifele, start with Scheifele, but a good NHL player. But when they locked him down in that contract, because I don't know if you guys remember or not, he was kind of like kicking around at the deadline, like, is this guy gonna year before last, but him and Hellebuck were like, well, Winnipeg's got to make a decision. They're either going to move off these guys, or they're going to get a crap ton of picks, or they're going to sign. Well, they ended up signing them, and boy, what a difference! Talk about hindsight being 2020. You don't need hindsight with the way these guys have been putting it up. But Scheifele's just that big body center. Connor is your prototypical. He's a little thinner, real tall, real lanky guy, but he's that skill, swift hands. He's not going to go in there and take a beating in front of the net because he doesn't have to. He's that kind of perimeter shooter, that OV area shooter, Patrick Kane, kind of top of the slot, top of the circles. But he's got every skill in the world. He can get around 3 guys like they weren't even there, like they're a bunch of pylons. So love the duo, love these two. I can't say I expected this because I didn't. But to watch him there do it at the same time and at the same tick, again, the only comparison I can draw to right now, modern day, would just be the Leo and McDavid, the duo. Just a couple guys complementing one another. Really good play so far this year.
I really like how Connor's got 62 shots on goal. He's on pace for 320 shots on goal, which would be his most in his career. And that's kind of where I gauge a guy. Like, if you're not going to get any peripherals from Connor, like you said, he's got a little bit of height. He's got a smaller frame, but so he really actually needs to score and shoot the puck, and he actually has been shooting the puck like crazy. I mean, he's in his second to last year on that deal. What a sweet contract, man. $7.1 million for this year and then next year. He's 20. He'll be at 29 when he actually signs this big contract, and he's going to get paid. Boy, he'd look really, really good with the Indian head on a sweater, wouldn't he? That would be really, really nice. And getting him signed for maybe another 8-year or 7-year deal, and we could go ahead and give him $10 million a year. That would be pretty nice there on the left side there. So, but yeah, Connor, I like where he's heading, and plus his shooting percentage is 17.7 right now, which honestly is just maybe 2 percentage points above his career average. But you got to think, it's contagious winning, right? And actually that winning culture, and actually you're on a roll and stuff. You start playing a bit more free because you trust your teammates around you. And the fact that he's got 22 points in 16 games and only 5 points on a power play, 17 points at 5-on-5, man, that is a great sign. They couldn't have got off to a better start, man. And Kyle Connor at that 48 ADP, what a steal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was mad I missed out on him. I had him on my team in our league when he was a keeper for years and years and years. I was hoping he's going to get back to me. Didn't. Two other guys to talk about on Winnipeg that have been fairly solid for fantasy purposes this year is the defenseman Neil Pinnock and Nicola and Ehlers. Ehlers, both those guys are in the top 36 in our league in scoring. Ehlers, he's been really solid. 9 goals, 11 assists, 43 shots for him. He's got 3 goals, 14 assists, 21 hits, and 28 blocks, as both those guys are currently in the top 36 in scoring.
And Ehlers, it seems like in the past, I'd say this is definitely, that again, we've talked about the start the season, but this is definitely he's on pace. Just looking at his overall career, I mean, he's been around for a while. He's a rookie in 15-16 seasons, so kind of flirts with 70 points. Never quite eclipsed it, but 60-point average guy. He this far in his career looks to be his breakout year, at least how his start is. But he's kind of one of those guys, and at least in our Bangers League, again, because of our scoring format in the Bangers League, as I would say, as recently as last year, the year before, he's a guy that was kind of floating around in free agency, because if he's not on the score sheet, he's not getting his name on the goal or the assist, he wasn't really, again, he's not going to go out there and hit 10 guys a game. But that said, this year his skill is really shown out. Again, he's complimenting the guys he's skating with well. Shots on goal, he's shooting much higher percentage than his average. He's at about 21%, 20.9, so just at 21%. When reality sets in, he's much closer to that 10%, 11-12% range. So there'll be probably some regression, but ride it out while you can. I don't know, JT, do you have what is his ADP? He went
so Ehlers' ADP according to Fantrax is 135.
Oh,
I
wow.
got him in round 22 of our Dynasty startup draft. So I'll take a top 30 score in round 22 all day long. So nice deal for me. Hoping he keeps it going. If this team was score, obviously he had a big year last year, was one of his best seasons at 61 points overall, 25 goals, 36 assists. But that was coming off a down year before that. We only had 38 points in 45 games as he was banged up. And that's kind of been the thing with him, is like he'll have a good season, then he'll miss some time. Then he'll have a good season. Then he'll miss some time. That's kind of been the last 4 or 5, 6 years for him. Is his career high was in 2016 with 64 points, 25 goals, 39 assists. But he came close to that last year, 25 goals, 36 assists, 61 points overall. And he got 233 shots on goal, which was the second most of his career last year. So I was hoping he would play a higher at one of those top lines and he would be in the mix. And so far he is. He's a guy, it seems like he's been around forever and ever and ever. He still is only 28 years old. So he's a guy you feel like he's almost 34, but he is 28. So I'm hoping he can stay healthy, because that's really been the every other year for him. And last year was only the third time in his career he played all 82 games. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. But off to a nice start, 2 assists in tonight's game, 9 goals, 11 assists for him currently on the season.
I say, wah, wah, wah. I'm Debbie Downer right now. Sell right now on yours, okay? Again, and Aaron said hit it on the head. 20.9 shooting percentage. That's actually going to come down. He does shoot to some degree, but he's only shooting maybe 2.3 shots a game. He's really, you look at his line mates, Perfetti and Messikov. I mean, Perfetti's an actually up and comer, whatnot, but doesn't actually have the line mates there. And honestly, he doesn't give you any with peripherals as well. And he's got the tendency to actually be banged up like all the time. So he is off to probably the best start of his career. I would say right now, JT, I mean, if you want to actually unload him for, let's say, maybe a top 10 pick in this last year's draft, if somebody wants to give, go ahead and start shopping him, man, because again, it's good, very good for 22nd round. It's amazing value.
Yep.
But dynasty draft, I don't know.
Chances of him being top 30 the rest of the year are pretty
it's
slim.
not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
But he has been on. He has been getting it done lately, man. So here's his 1 point, 1.1 point, 0 points, 4 points, 2 points, 0, 0, 1, 2. Shots on goals actually look pretty good as well. But the only thing that actually worries me as well, time on ice. He's still under 16 minutes on time on ice. If they thought he was unbelievably great, he'd actually be on the top line. He'd be getting 19 to 20. Now, I don't know if the Winnipeg actually just gives anybody 19 to 20. They're pretty balanced or whatnot. But nevertheless, everything this reeks kind of regression. And I'd actually be pretty cautious with his start, but it has been a great start.
Who else do you guys like? Who else is jumping out at you, either good or bad so far? Early start here to the fantasy season.
I would have again. It's going to be in a good light. I would Tavares gave up the captaincy in Toronto. Another guy on. We're just kind of analyzing your team. We're your team, JT. Another guy on your team, but he with his average draft position at around that 95, 100 pick, he's done very well. And again, good start by Toronto. I did not expect. He's 34 years old. I did not expect what he's been doing up to this point, especially some line 3 time. Even I know he's made his way down, but he's the goals that he scored. He's like what is he up to 8 or 9? I think looking at it now, he's got 8.
8 goals,
but they've
6
been
assists
big
so far.
Yeah, and they've been timely goals. They've been big goals. He's been clutch, and that's one thing that since he signed that huge contract, it's not so huge anymore, but compared to what some of the guys are playing. But when he left the Islanders and went to Toronto, his hometown, which he made pretty public, that's what his intentions were. But he signed all that money, and he's been one guy that they've kind of knocked around or kicked around like he's not worth it. He's got this albatross of a contract. But this year, it kind of, passing over that leadership role, that captaincy. In hockey, it's everything. In football, I don't know how many captains you have in football. Other sports, there's really no comparison to the captain. When you're a captain in hockey or you're an alternate captain, you're the only guy that can go and talk to the refs. But that's just a kind of an administrative role. Like, okay, I can get an explanation to penalty, then I can go tell my coach. I can argue it, I can sway it, whatever. You have some responsibility there, but it's mostly what happens in that locker room. So if there's a shift in that leadership change, sometimes it doesn't always translate well. Or why did this guy lose the C? Or some people won't even, like the Hawks didn't even have a captain all last year. So for him to do that and then come back and perform where he's at, it's a good story. I think he's a good guy. So taking a lot of heat, a lot of crap. I hope this continues. Back to the Ehlers point, is his at 34? Can he keep it up? I don't know. He may be another guy that you maybe package him and Ehlers and get a couple of prospects. I wouldn't. They're too valuable for the next year's draft since it's a dynasty league. But you could definitely pull some prospects. But no, he jumps off the page as a guy that went very late, but he's in our top 30 of scoring. He's
yeah.
Season.
I got him in the 11th round of our startup draft. He's currently number 25 in the league in scoring, just ahead of David Pastrnak and Tage Thompson. If that tells you anything, he's actually outscoring both of those guys in our league currently. They're all right next to each other in total points scored and average. But a guy that went much later than those other two guys. So yeah, he's gotten off to a real good start. The issue with some of these guys is like when they're older, how long are they going to stay healthy and how long can they keep it up as the season drags on? Toast, anybody jumping out to you?
Yeah, Alex Leferrier for the LA Kings. 23-year-old guy, an ADP of 462. And he's really he may be playing over his head, but he's interesting. He's got 9 goals, 16 assists for 15 points in 17 games on a Kings team that honestly, we talked about that on a previous podcast. Besides Fiala, like they haven't really actually, from a fantasy perspective, they really actually haven't done well at all. Really, I guess in real life, they've actually done fine. He's shooting 22.5% for the season. Okay. So let's just put that out there. 40 shots on goal for a 23-year-old. Not bad at all. I like that. But this guy is a little bit interesting. Here's why. And he's getting third line deployment. I like his deployment with Byfield and William Vogel. I want to say that that's better than their first line with Kopitar and Kempe and Lewis. All right. So the Kings do weird stuff with their lines. But this is a guy that never played a minute in the OHL, the WHL, or the AHL. He played for the USHL. He played a couple seasons for the Des Moines Buccaneers. All right. So, and for Des Moines, he actually had 19 goals, 26 assists, 45 points in 42 games. Very, very good stats. 50 points in 49 games in a 2021 season. Then he went to Harvard. And for Harvard, Harvard's a good hockey program for college, better than a point per game there. I mean, so normally for a guy of his, like, I guess it's a different. He was drafted 83rd overall in a 2020 draft. You actually have a COVID season there. Things are just kind of odd or whatever. But normally you actually have guys playing in the WHL, the OHL, or even the AHL. And once they're actually drafted, he never did any of that. But I would say regression, fine. But honestly, you don't have a standard. You actually don't really have a baseline for this guy because he's so young. He's actually never really had the opportunity to actually play in the leagues where he actually can put up stupid numbers like an OHL and a WHL. He would have done that, right? So an ADP of 462. And right now, he is in the top. I want to say he's right 24th. Around 33rd. Yeah,
he's
24th.
He's 24th in our league in scoring, right behind Stützle and right in front of John Tavares, who we just talked about, and Pasternak. So that's the numbers he's putting up, which is pretty amazing. Like you said, Toast, when you look at the scoring in our league, it's Stützle, him, Tavares, Pasternak, Tage Thompson, and he's right there, and he went 40th in the 40th round of our draft, not 40th overall, 40th round in our startup draft. He's been crazy good so far for them, and he's young. Like you said, he's only 23.
This is a guy that Dauber, when they actually prospected him a few years back, his fantasy upside and NHL certainty were very, very low. 6 foot, 179 pounds. They said good skating forward with good shot. He plays a physical style game, which you saw that he has 28 hits on the season so far. So he's actually pacing for well over 100 hits and can contribute in several fantasy categories. But nobody really expected this. I will say I have actually not watched many Kings games, so I actually can't speak to what I'm seeing on the ice. But this is going to make me actually go back and actually watch Kings games and actually Leferrier and actually see what is it about him right now. Because, again, at that young age, you don't really expect him to be doing what he's doing, especially, again, that weird path he had to the NHL.
Yeah.
Anybody else jumping out? Aaron, to you, either good, bad? This quarter, we're about quarter way through the regular season.
We're going to talk about some more.
Yeah. So who else you got jumping on the list there for you?
Well, and I know JT. This guy came up in our Buzz and Hands section once before. But he's worth talking about again because his ADP was up in the thousands. I think about 1,300. Will Cooley, who, according to this, he's rostered in about 39% of Fantrax leagues. Again, Fantrax, that's casting a wide net. Those are redraft leagues. There's banger leagues, dynasty leagues, you name it. Fantrax offers it all. They're great. But Will Cooley, again, we ought to have like our own awards, like our banger of the year. Like,
we should do that.
like this guy, he didn't show up. He's a third liner. He's getting 12 minutes a game, so he falls well under that. If we set the standard, let's say 16 minutes, if that's kind of like, your first and second line guys or that, 15, 16 minutes a game. So he's third liner at best, not playing with a whole lot of talent. One game, but he's all zeros across the board on your traditional score. He's a +1, 8 hits. He's worth 4 points. So again, to us, our old school banger league, guy like this just jumps off the page, especially I don't even know where he went. He's I don't even know whose team.
He actually went a little early in our draft just because our buddy John McGlynn, who's in the league with us, he really, when he was looking at this, he was like, I want a lot of guys at bangers. I want guys that can get points. He actually went around 26th for us in our league. 26th overall. Really nice. As he's just been an absolute hitter. He's got 57 hits on the season already. To go along with actually 11 points, which is pretty wild for guys on the third line. He's already got 5 goals and 6 assists.
That's great. Third line is in hockey, generally speaking, that's your shutdown line. Those are the guys that go out and annoy your top lines on the other team, especially when you're home and you have that last home change. You march your third line out there, not to score a goal, just to keep the other team off the sheet and to annoy the piss out of them. So that's what this guy's role is, but he's doing it in a very he's earning his ice time. He's doing it, and he's showing up on the score sheet. And this is the guy. This is the pain in the ass guy you want come playoff time. New York's a playoff team. They're going to make the playoffs. Maybe they'll win their division. Who knows? They're going to be in it. But this is the guy that you want burying the defenseman at that first round of the playoffs. Just run right through them. Don't worry about the puck. Don't worry about anything else. Just start taking runs and breaking these guys down. This is your guy to do it. So with that role, and he understands that, and he's 22 years old. He accepts that role. He'll have a spot on this team, and that's all you want. You just want the chip in the chair. So playing look at, again, I know New York got just absolutely killed tonight, 6-3 by our Winnipeg team. But outside of that, outside of a few bumps in the road here, the Rangers are looking real good. This guy's real important. Very high skilled team, but for a banger to come out and do what he's done, I like it a lot. And he's, again, it sounds like now he's at that level in the rostered. You're 40%. Maybe a month from now he'll be 50%. Guys are starting to get on him. So if you're in a league that may be a redraft league, or you're in a dynasty or whatever it is, might be a guy you want to take a look at. Just see if he's on the free agent wire, and he's worth getting, I would say. This would be a buy now on Will Cooley.
Yeah, he's currently 6th in the league in hits with 57.
Oh,
he's
I love
6th
it.
overall in hits. Shots on goal, he has 28, which is only second to Brady Tkachuk in the top 10 of guys with hits in the league.
It's not bad.
So
not bad.
Tkachuk with the 62 shots, he has 28 shots on goal. He's number 2 among the top 10 hitters in the league with shot attempts at 28. Goals, he's tied for second of guys in the hits, only behind Tkachuk, and he's second also behind Tkachuk in assists. So that tells you anything. Guys that are top 10 in hits in the league, he's second in goals, second in shots, second in assists, all behind Brady Tkachuk. So that tells you anything for a guy. He's 22. If he can even get to half of what Tkachuk is as a player, you're going to get some pretty nice production out of him for sure.
Yeah. JT, I'm gonna mention another guy here. I want you guys to guess on what line this player may play on any given team. Okay, I'm gonna throw out some stats. 29 shots on goal, 6.9 shooting percentage, fine. Power play points, 3, all assists. 2 hits, 8 blocks. And face-offs, 118 face-off hits, 18 minutes of time on ice. What line, and that may be the key, 18 minutes of time on ice, what line is this player? What line does he play on?
18 minutes. I mean, you thinking the guy's at least a second liner.
Right. I'm going second line. I'll even name him Claude Giroux.
You know what? Not Claude, good Good pick there, Aaron. But Mika Zibanejad, man. And Zibanejad, here's the deal. He's got line one deployment with Panarin and Lafreniere, and you're backed up on the second line with Kreider and Trocheck and Riley Smith. And then we talked about, again, Will Keeley and Cheadle and Kako, who actually had a goal tonight as well. But I tell you what, Zibanejad, here's what worries me. 29 shots on goal. 29 shots on goal in 14 games. 2 goals, 9 assists. All right, we understand that shot percentage.
You just talked about the guy that's playing the line behind him has more goals, almost as many assists, and as many shots. That's not great.
No, it's not good at all. And I get, hey, again, you're 54% on the dot. That's really good, right? 54% is really damn good at the dot. 60% will actually lead the league. Usually, it's old Jonathan Taze, right? It'll lead the league and at the dot, which made Taser so amazing. But, last year, again, 26 goals, 46 assists, 72 points. The year before that, 91 points. The year before that, 81 points. All right, he may be tracking the points, but 2 goals, 9 assists, and 6.9%. I would say that, hey, he's going to go ahead and he's just shooting low, all right? He's shooting a low percentage. Those numbers are going to climb. Maybe so, but he's not shooting a puck. Last year, 221 shots on goal. The previous year, 251 shots on goal. He is not trending. I mean, he's trending for probably 160 shots on goal. I wonder what's going on there. And I know kind of what's going on. And it started last year. Panarin, I mean, we all talked about Panarin, a assist machine, right? 2 years ago. He started shooting a puck last year. Panarin did. And he's shooting a puck again. I think he's got 10 goals. I have to go look, see what Panarin's got. I think 10, 11 goals. He's on pace for over 50. And I think last year he actually had close to 50. I mean, that's not Panarin, right? So different roles on that Rangers team, but from a fantasy perspective, that is not the Zibanejad you actually expect. I mean, it's not at all. Not shooting. He's not really doing much on the power play as well. And when a guy that doesn't give you hits or blocks as well, you have to have it. You got to have actually a guy that's going to shoot the puck. He's not doing it. So be interesting. I wouldn't even say you'd actually buy low on him. I just avoid right now.
Yeah.
I'd avoid right now, and he's 31, right? He's 31 years old. So especially in Dynasty, you're avoiding altogether. So it's just an interesting start. That was the one guy that just kind of jumped off the page. I'm like, this is odd. So we'll see how he ends up this season. We're going to do another episode. We'll do the halfway mark, right? Here in about 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll see if he can bounce back.
Yeah, and actually 31. I thought he was older than that. To be honest, he's seems like it's been a name that's been around and out there. That's a little surprising that he's younger than what I thought. Because
did Ottawa have everybody at one point, Aaron? Did they have everybody?
It was funny because it came up. Brandon Hagel just did an interview on Spittin' Chicklets, and he was talking about what the Hawks team would have been. We've talked about that a million times. All these guys they've given up. Same with Ottawa. All these guys at some point would have been on Ottawa, and it's a mystery why they haven't done what they're doing this year, the last 2 years. So but you're right. You're right. They everybody's been on Ottawa. They just must have a hard time identifying talent. I don't know what's going on there.
I was going to bring up a guy I've been a little shocked about, and this is my guy, Dylan Larkin for the Red Wings. Kind of a weird start for him this season. A little down in scoring. Been a little rough start altogether for the Red Wings, a team that got off to a good start last year, and kind of faded near the end. Larkin went out with injury, and they kind of fell apart. So far this year for Larkin, he's currently sitting 90th in our league in scoring at 61 points, 4.36 points a game. Shooting a great percentage. He's shooting 22% this year, which is fantastic. He has 9 goals in 14 games, which I love. Only 2 assists, though. What has happened? He is not the distributor, the guy that's been getting the offense rolling for the Red Wings like he has in the past. Only 2 assists. He's has been a consistently 35 to 40 plus assists a year guy. it just doesn't seem like the normal Dylan Larkin this year. And it feels like when he's not playing his normal game that the Red Wings struggle. We saw it last year when he was out. And that's what I'm getting this year from them. It's just the shooting percentage is great, the goals are great, but the playmaking has just not been there from him.
Yeah, JT, I wonder if there is a different emphasis with this team this year on goaltending and actually being a better defensive team, because their offensive numbers are way down. From actually staying in games, they're 6-7-1, right? Not where you actually want to be with Detroit. But you got to wonder, they've only given up 43 goals this season in 14 games. That's very, very good. Again, good on the back end, which they've been really bad on the back end. And the goaltending has not been good at all. The offense is actually suffering. I wonder if there's just like, hey, we know we're actually going to be a pretty good team at the end, but we had to learn how to play a different way because last year wasn't actually working at all. And it goes to show, like, it's not just Larkin. Even DeBrincat. Here's what worries me about DeBrincat. 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points in 14 games. Fine. Only 30 shots on goal.
It seems like no one on their team is getting shots. That's what the thing is crazy.
Yeah. Raymond's
only 23 shots. He's one goal, 12 assists. He actually leads the team in assists, but yeah.
Yeah, great numbers for the points there. And then Patrick Kane too. He's not a big Kane's never been like, oh my God, you're going to light it up and just shoot, right? But you expect to actually have him more assists and whatnot. So you wonder if, again, some of this is intentional. The fact that, hey, we got to get better defensively. The guys are playing right. Hey, they're coming in that window now that they should actually be pretty good, where now we have to do things the right way. And I wonder if they're starting to do things the right way, eventually it's going to pay off on the offensive side. But right now, I mean, they're putting up no offense at all.
Yeah, it seems like most of their offense is actually coming on power plays. So it's like they're kind of like playing defense, waiting for you to make a mistake. And then when they get the power play, they're like, okay, let's go. As you look at Larkin, 6 of his 9 goals are on power play. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy high percentage. And then you got DeBrincat, 2 of his 6 are on the power play. Kane, he has 2 goals, 1 on the power play. It just seems like you're right, Toast. It just feels like a different team. They're really trying to kind of tighten up there on defense and not get so crazy. But it's fantasy wise, it's a little rough. The numbers aren't terrible, but they just seem a little off compared to what we're used to.
Yeah. And Larkin's the kind of guy. I mean, he's Mr. Detroit. He's the captain of the team. You're playing for arguably the biggest captain that's ever lived. Stevie Weiss. So there's a lot of extra responsibility that comes with kind of taking the Jonathan Taves. We've talked about him a little bit tonight too, but taking that path. Hey, I got to be a two-way forward. I got to kind of skate back, hold back. Center position's the hardest position in hockey. So there's a lot riding on that. But at the same time, if you're going to do that as a team, I'd like to see a better record than 6-7. I would happily sacrifice fantasy stats for a good team that I follow. I'd gladly take I'd go 0 for the whole year if the Hawks made the playoffs. So it's kind of one of those things as a fan. If this is going to happen, he's going to back down, and he's my boy on my team, and I love watching him. I got to get some more wins in that win column. So outside of that, though, I still say it's a steal of a contract, and he'll be one of the greats for that team, for that franchise when it's all said and done.
And JT, what you actually need to know, just went on Hockey Reference, and the Wings are dead last in the league in shots on goal. 351. You have an average of 442.
Come on, guys.
The fact that they're 6-7-1 with the goaltending they're getting, I find encouraging. All right. Honestly, that may not be a bad thing. They're going to shoot more. They're going to actually get it going offensively. Maybe again, I'm not going to say this is by design, right? Nobody's going to say by design at 6-7-1. But if it's by design to actually shore up the defensive end, the goaltending, and actually get the buy-in from all of your lines to say, hey, We actually got to go ahead and stop the puck from actually going to the opponent's net. They just need to actually swing that up a little bit more. Put it this way, the Hawks, I listen to all the Hawks games because I can't watch them.
Yep.
And Troy Moore's been great. It's been awesome. I mean, you would think when actually we score a goal, like we just won a Stanley Cup, which is great. The Hawks are actually at 437 shots on goal, right? The league average. And the Wings are, again, they're right. The Hawks are actually middle of the pack. The Wings are dead last. And they're actually complaining and bitching and moaning about the Hawks don't shoot the puck enough. That just goes to show you. The Wings are actually pretty lucky. They're at a power play percentage of 24%. Because it wasn't for that,
that's what I'm saying. It's like they're doing everything on the power play.
Bad.
Well, here's the other question is, do you think they're maybe slowing it down playing this way? They've got an older team. Like, they've got some nice young players, but man, between Kane, Comfier, Kopp, Rasmussen, Tarasenko, Petrie. I mean, they've got a lot of guys in their mid to late 30s on this team. Sherrod on there is, he's up there too. What is he? 33.
Sherrod,
yeah, Sherrod's 33. So, I mean, they've got quite a few guys that are a little bit older. It makes me think that they're like, hey, let's try to not like run these guys in the ground early in the year, because again, they were so terrible down the stretch last season. I'm wondering if they're thinking like, hey, let's work our way up so we end up on the year way better than last year. They got off to such a great start, and then they just kind of flailed at the end of the year. I'm wondering if it was a thing where they talked about it and was like, hey, let's maybe like start off a little slower. Let's be more controlled. Let's play more defense, and then we'll start picking it up as the year goes along, because it definitely feels like they've gone the complete opposite as far as game plans to start this year as they did last year.
Yeah, Aaron, we may need to do some homework on this. I'd like to actually see the Delta Fenwick numbers, especially with the goalies, to see how many high danger chances. I mean, how lucky they've actually been, because the numbers with the goalies are really, really good. Really, really good. And if they're actually not as bad as we thought, or they're really holding their own, and really there's good defense in front of them, and there's not as much high danger chances, you got to think this is part of a longer tail plan, right? That this, you got to get better on defensive end. So be interested to see. We'll cover it again at the halfway mark with the Wings.
Yeah,
we all said that the Wings are a playoff team last year. They just barely actually missed. We all said that, hey, the Wings are probably going to make it this year. And right now, that's a bunched up division with everybody kind of this bunched up there for. It's Florida, Toronto, and everybody else, and they're right there. I mean, it's not the start they wanted, but again, you got to hang your hat on something, and hang your hat on is the fact that they've been very, very good on the defensive
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I mean, you got Talbot as your number one. He's a 37-year-old goalie, and give him some time. Lyon has played some at 31. Husso, who's actually their youngest goalie at 29, he's been their worst. He's 0-2 with an 811 save percentage, 494 goals against in his two starts. But Talbot and Lyon has basically been splitting 8 games to 6 as far as games played, 7-5 and games started. So, 2-3, 4-2. They've both been pretty solid, 2.40 goals against, 2.78, 926 and 916 save percentage, 1 shutout each. So, like I said, the goalies have been decent too, but those aren't young pups at goalie. So I think they're trying to figure out how to, get through this whole season and keep all these guys healthy and ready to go for the end of the year.
Yeah, leave a little gas in the tank, and
Absolutely.
I think most of the veterans that you just rattled off there, these are kind of placeholders. Wings, with or without Yzerman, just as an organization, they're notorious for slow cooking their prospects. They let them go in there, and they'll let them develop on their own schedule. They kind of set the standard. Again, all those cups they won in the 90s and early aughts, they have a good program. So this isn't random. I'm sure there's something with the plan, but again, it just seems to be the kind of MO of that organization to slow cook those prospects, compile the draft picks, stopgap with some old veterans, and then when the veterans are ready to hang it up, then you got these guys ready to go. So we'll see. Yeah, the good action items for the halfway show for sure.
Anybody else jump out to you guys? I know the one thing we talked about at the early show after our draft show, and I told you I was just totally thrown off by the draft. I ended up taking Quinn Hughes in the 3rd round, and we were all like, "Oh, in a bangers league, that's not great." And it was a total overdraft by me. Looking at him right now, he is number 87 in our league and scoring 61.1 points, 87th overall as a 3rd round pick. He is struggled a bit again because of the peripherals. 3 goals, 13 assists, 50 shots on goal. Those are where he helps you, but only 4 penalty minutes, 2 hits, and 17 blocks. Only 2 hits for a defenseman. Always rough. So that's another one we talked about. Like I still like Quinn Hughes. You got to have him for the long haul. He is going to score you some points as far as goals and assists. But yeah, it shows you in a bangers league sometimes, though. You get those guys that hit every day, and those guys that hit every day can get you more points than some of the higher end guys are more offensive minded when it comes to defense in the NHL.
Yeah, if Patrick Kane wasn't a world class wing, and he played defense, he would be Quinn Hughes. Like he's small, he dodges people, nobody ever hits him, squares him up. He dances on that blue line. He's got the seeing eye shots. He's everything you'd want for a guy with hands and can score. Does that guy win you cups? We'll see. On the front end, absolutely. Kane's a 3-time champion, and but a defenseman with a smaller stature, non-banger, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Hughes got 12 points in his last 10 games. And we talked about this last episode. Vancouver, again, a team that is doing awful on the power play. I want to say they're actually dead last or second to last. Shots are downer as well with the wings as well. There's better days ahead. That's a good offense. Look at the names you actually have there with Besser and Pedersen and Miller. And you actually have Hughes as well. I mean, they're gonna get theirs. So the fact, JT, that Quinn Hughes in our league is 87th overall in points right now, that's a good sign. That's a very, very good, very good sign. I mean, and he's shooting a puck. He's shooting a lot. What I'll say right now too, it's went final. This is another talk about good signs. The Oilers win. The Oilers win an OT, but the overtime winner, Draisaitl with a goal, McDavid with the assist, and Bouchard. Bouchard finally showed himself a little bit tonight with a goal and 2 assists. He's been unbelievably quiet. This is the McDavid game you'd actually expect with 1, 2, 3, a goal and 3 assists. I don't care who they're playing. When they're at home, McDavid should be showing his ass every single game. And you wonder, I'd like to look at the schedule and see what's actually going to come up for them next, because this could just be the game right here that gets them going, because all their big dogs came out in a 4-3 win tonight.
Yeah. Good to see. And it feels, well, again, just for fantasy, for betting reasons, it feels like home. We're starting to get there. We're starting to get over this crazy hump, and now's a good time to re-up the old whatever betting site you use. Let's just go ahead and plunk some money.
I think I'm gonna reload. Yeah.
Around. Yeah. Let's. Yeah.
I always hate to have to reload, but it's been that kind of starts of the season.
Right.
We got to throw a few more dollars back in the account and get this thing going. We got a couple minutes here left as we're coming up on an hour 15. Why don't you guys give me kind of your final face-off thoughts for this point, as we're about quarter way through the season, third of the way through fantasy hockey season.
I'm gonna do the opposite here. I'm gonna give you a stinker to end with. Just a fantasy guy again, a third of the way through the season, through our season, fourth of the way through it. But we talked about this guy before. I gave you, I still think you got him at a good round. Toast. He's on your team. If you haven't already figured out, it's Steve Stamkos that I'm talking about. But this guy, if you're out there on a redraft league, I don't know, man. He stinks. So if you're in a redraft league, get off him right now. I'm not going to wait for him to come around. I just don't like what I've seen in the Nashville games that I've watched. It's just not the same Stammer. Is he going to catch up? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I just don't see it. So he's the average draft position is about 36,
Wow.
37 in overall fan tracks. Again, you got to think most of these are redraft leagues. There's only a couple nerd leagues like ours, like our banger league, and it's a banger league and a dynasty league. But and again, I know you took him way late, so it was good, probably good value, but he's under that 3-point mark. He's never done that. It's just not. I just don't like the start. So I'm my kind of around the ice or my shout out at the end is a complete, like you said earlier, toast to Debbie Downer. You got Stammers. It's if you've got him and if you're no matter where you're at in your season, you've got to start at least having the thought in your mind. If you're a 1-4, you're an 0-5. Like, when do I kind of cash in? When do I get ready for the next year? Might be a little early. Give it another week. But if you're on a team like that, you got a shitty record, you got a Steve Stamkos, I think it might be time to have that. At least have that thought. Start floating them out there in trade. See if there's a guy that's like toast, 5-0, 6-0, whatever you're at. Sprinkle them out there, make him an offer, throw him out there. But it might be time to part ways with him if you've got him and you didn't start out as hot as you would have liked. So downer on Stamkos. He stinks. Get out of here.
Yeah, and Aaron, I'll say they've jerked him around a lot. I mean, and again, what you would actually have with a change of scenery, or you've actually been in one place for a long, long time, and then you go over to Nashville, and because he's now finally been promoted to that top line, Forsberg, O'Reilly, and then Stamkos. Stamkos has played left wing, center, and right wing this year at his age as well. He hasn't really had to do that in the past, considering he's actually been insulated pretty well in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he just caught passes to Kucherov all those years. Yeah,
right. I mean, come on. I mean, but if you look at it too, he's only shooting 8.9%, and you're like, well, that's not. The shots on goal are actually there. He's averaging 3 shots a game. He's actually pacing for about 250, 260 shots, which is probably about his career average as well. You would expect when things actually settle down, he'll be a little bit better. But the problem with Nashville is they actually hung on to that Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist. Because that really, remember last year when Forsberg showed his ass and they caught fire, man, the second half of the season and never let up. It was amazing. I mean, they were, it was ridiculous how hot they were. I think they finally decided, if we're going to have Steven Stamkos on this team, he's got to be out there with those guys. So I'm actually showing him on line 1 right now with those guys, but on a right wing, which is crazy. I don't really remember him actually playing a whole lot of that. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he's always been a left wing because, again,
yeah, he's a right-handed shot. You want him shooting. Yeah. You don't want him passing. He can't pass.
Well, and that's a concern. I mean, that's a concern. Yeah. So you'd have to think that if they put him in the right position to succeed, better days are ahead because he's shown the ability to actually do that. But they're still just trying to find out, like, hey, you go sign Marchessault and you actually sign Stamkos and these older guys and actually bring them into this group, and you actually move Evangelista down to and Tomasino down to a third line, and it's just odd, right? It's just, I don't know, it's a hodgepodge, and it's just kind of still mind-boggling that they did what they did. So this is one where I have no idea where it's going to go. Actually, let's hope it gets better, but I don't know.
I appreciate it, fellas. That's going to do it for us tonight here on Around the Ice for Toast and Aaron. Follow Toast at Toast Clark, Aaron at Titch4141, and me at JT Orange. Make sure you like and subscribe. Fifth Hockey on the X. Check that out, our new page there. And this is Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames, a hockey podcast. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll check you next time.